The gentleman from California, Mr. Sherman, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Madam Chair, we need to get Mark Zuckerberg here. This is the biggest thing, or it tries to be the biggest thing, this committee will deal with this decade. And while we have one of his employees here, this is Zuckerberg's program. Now, we're told by some that innovation is always good. The most innovative thing that happened this century is when Osama bin Laden came up with the innovative idea of flying 2 airplanes into towers. That's the most consequential innovation, although this may do more to endanger America than even that. People call this the Libra. It's not the Libra. Nobody, if it finally happens, nobody's going to call it Libra. They're going to call it a Zuckbuck. This is Zuckerberg's baby. Now, Mr. Marcus gave me 2 promises in our conversation yesterday, both of which he knows they won't comply with. First, he promises that all the know your customer and anti-money laundering is going to be adhered to. But that applies only to the Libra wallet, and he hopes to have hundreds of other wallets created by others. Keep in mind, as to Bitcoin, 46% of the transactions, according to one academic study, are for drug dealers and other nefarious operations. Hamas advertises they want Bitcoin contributions. Bitcoin, however, has a problem. There's no off-ramp. There's no way to just go buy something with a Bitcoin. You can eventually with a Zuckbuck. And finally, the white paper put out by Facebook says, the Libra protocol does not link accounts to real-world identity. A user is free to create multiple accounts by generating multiple key pairs. So this is a godsend to drug dealers and sanctions evaders and tax evaders. Zuckerberg has billions, but he doesn't have the authority to print more until he gets this. We went from the U.S. dollar. We went from the U.S. dollar being linked to gold, and we only printed a number of dollars equal to the gold we had to the dollar becoming valuable in and of itself, and now we can print. How many dollars we print has nothing to do with how much gold we have in store. Mr. Marcus promised me that they would never do that, but then he testifies here that the Libra Association will make all the decisions and Facebook won't be in control. So much for those promises. America's power comes from the power of the dollar more, I think, than the power of our military. It lowers the interest rates in the United States by at least $1,000 a family. The seigniorage has allowed the Fed to transfer $100 billion in some years, so often less, to the Treasury. Our sanctions in Iran, which I've worked on for over 20 years, are effective only because of the power of the dollar. And we are able to go after human traffickers, drug dealers, and tax evaders because of the power of the dollar. We're told that they're going to solve 2 problems with this. They're not going to solve those problems. Cross-border transmission, let's do that in dollars. Or let's send Quitzels to Guatemala. You've got a multi-billion-dollar company, trillion-dollar company. Help people make those transmissions at low fees, but what, use dollars or use the local currency? And then we're told they're going to deal with the unbanked. If they wanted to help the unbanked, they wouldn't be using a cryptocurrency because cryptocurrencies are illegal in India, the place where they have more unbanked than anywhere else. They don't want to solve those problems. They want to solve 2 other problems. Problem number 1, Zuckerberg can't print money yet. And problem number 2, Zuckerberg is under attack because he invades the privacy of ordinary Americans and sells it to the highest bidder. He needs to be an advocate for privacy. And so he is creating a device which will provide privacy to drug dealers, human traffickers, terrorists, tax evaders, and sanctions evaders. We need Zuckerberg here because we need to tell him that he probably has the power to push this through. He'll throw around tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in Washington. His supporters will get huge Zuckbucks in U.S. dollars. 100 lawyers will tell him that what he's doing is legal and therefore he's safe. But someone with an understanding of the politics of this country needs to explain to Mr. Zuckerberg that if cryptocurrency is used to finance the next horrific terrorist attack against Americans, 100 lawyers standing in a row, charging $2,000 an hour, are not going to protect his rear end from the wrath of the American people. This is an attempt to transfer enormous power from America to Facebook and a number of its allies. I'm surprised we need Zuckerberg here.